Hello, it's Mio. It is Friday, August 12th, 2022, and I have been on a treatment break for the last few weeks, and I had promised that I would make a video earlier this week to let you know what I was talking about in my last video, which is some treatments of a more of a psychosocial nature that I have been working on and to some degree still working on. So firstly, what I talked about in the last video, I was really excited about, but truthfully, I know that this could be potentially quite controversial for some folks, and it's not something that is maybe widely participated in. It's within the realm of psychedelic assisted therapy. It's often used for treatment-resistant depression, but most notably, psychedelic assisted therapies have been used for folks who are maybe in situations very similar to mine, looking at limited time kind of diagnosis that I have, end of life fears, dreads, stressors, existential fears, dread, stressors. And I am working with the super great folks at Field Trip Health in this journey for myself. I can't say enough about how it's been working with them. This is of a psychosocial nature, so more from the emotional and mental side of things as opposed to targeting specifically for the cancer itself. But I think that this is a very important piece of the puzzle for this experience, the experience of life and so forth. But I'm sure a lot of people could imagine through having diagnosis of limited time, then having to go through treatment and what all that means and all the things that come along with this kind of a diagnosis. There's a lot to digest mentally and emotionally. A lot of people may not actually think that it's really helpful to be able to focus on the mental and emotional wellness piece, as well as treating specifically the cancer or the disease or the diagnosis itself. So with that in mind, when I learned there was going to be a psilocybin study, so a psychedelic psilocybin study that Princess Margaret Hospital, which is the hospital that I getting cancer treatments from, that they received quite a bit of private funding from a private individual to run a study, and I think an area of their psychosocial support or services, where eventually the idea is that they would provide psychedelic assisted therapy for people dealing with end-of-life stressors, anxieties, existential stress, and fears, and so forth. When I read about the donation that was made to Princess Margaret, I was very interested in participating, because as much as I have been dedicated to taking care of my mental wellness for well over 25 years and have a regular meditation practice and ways of dealing and coping and working through this journey that I'm on, there's always an underlying sense of fear about what's to come. So the process of dying, what that's going to look like for me, and the fear that I won't be able to handle what's coming. Also, what it means to just not be in control, as I think that I have been used to. But I know in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of humbling experiences to know and learn that we're not in as much control as we think that we are at any given time. There's always this underlying sense of this fear about not being enough, not knowing what's around the corner, and not knowing whether or not I'll be able to handle it, the fears and uncertainty and all of that connected to it, and how it can become something that is almost ever present there. Like it's like a frequency that's constantly sort of vibrating. I thought to myself, if I had to, there's a kitty. I've been thinking to myself that if it's possible to go through this experience and to turn the volume down on that particular inner vibration, in some ways that's always there. I felt as though I've been thinking or have been feeling that if it's possible to turn the volume down on that, to potentially have it not vibrate in that way within me, I could go through this experience without additional dread and fear and stress. And I thought to myself, like, if it's possible to achieve that through psychedelic assisted therapy, I'm all for it. And I not in any way endorsing the recreational use of psychedelics. We're talking about legal usage in a clinic with people who are experienced in being able to deliver and support folks through a psychedelic assisted therapy. And I'm working with a clinic called Field Trip Health to do that. They have a ton of experience when it comes to psychedelic assisted therapy. And for the general public who are dealing with treatment resistant depression, and there are also other ways in which ketamine assisted therapy could be helpful, it's possible to get in touch with Field Trip Health. And they're not just here in Toronto, they have a presence in a number of different places. Not just somebody in my situation, but people who are experiencing existential stress and dread that's maybe different from what I'm going through, but specifically in what I'm going through too. To go back to what I was saying about how this article that I had read, there was quite a generous and sizable donation that had been made to Princess Margaret Hospital to explore psychedelic assisted therapy, specifically, in the outset anyway, psilocybin. And I have been hoping to be able to be a part of that study. However, it's been taking a little longer than perhaps initially anticipated for that study to get up and running. So I don't know when they're going to be up and running, A. B, I don't know whether or not would be able to be included in the study. I don't know what the criteria would be to be included. So I don't know whether or not I would be included. And C, there was kind of a sense that maybe I don't have a lot of time to maybe be sitting around and waiting for this study to happen, and that whatever time I have left, it's possible to engage in psychedelic assisted therapy that can help me have whatever experience, but maybe a more enjoyable or less stressed experience with whatever time I have left. I know I'm babbling, but I hope that I'm getting across my interest in it and why I'm interested in it and why I have had an interest in it and why I'm engaging in this therapy at the moment. So when I realized that it was going to take some time for the Princess Margaret study to get up and running, I decided to see whether or not it was possible to get some help privately, so from private clinics or a provider who has experience in providing psychedelic assisted therapy. In doing the research, I realized that Field Trip Health, again, like here in Toronto, but also they have a ton of presence in other places in Canada and also in some places in the US, and actually applied on my behalf to Health Canada to make an exemption for me to be able to use psilocybin in a psilocybin assisted therapeutic setting. It took some time to get all the ducks lined up and everything like that, but for the most part, it certainly wasn't stressful on my part. Like I said, Field Trip Health has been this incredible partner for me in all of this, and had handled the paperwork and a lot of the details. Hate paperwork. I don't know people who love it, but I certainly don't love paperwork. And they were able to manage all of that, got the exemption, got the approval from Health Canada. Also, because in a larger sense, Field Trip Health, if you go to their website, what they offer is ketamine assisted therapy, which doesn't require the exemption like psilocybin currently does. Ketamine was also offered to me as an experience, and they have different mechanisms and they have different experiences. Also, the reason why I'm talking about it, because I could see that some people may not agree or may have some issues with this kind of therapy, and I completely understand, and it's not for everybody, but it is potentially something that's available to people if they're in a situation where they're dealing with existential dread and end of life worries, that something like psychedelic assisted therapy could be really helpful. I want to send a ton of love and care out to you and your loved ones, and hopefully you're taking good care. And chef's kiss to you, and I will talk to you again real soon. And again, if you have any questions, you made it to this point, and please put it in the comments down below, and I will be more than happy to try to answer them in the best way that I can. But there will also be other videos of me talking about psychedelic assisted therapy, and that's what's going on. So I will again talk to you real soon.